The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
What is up? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cowboys StoryLine. I'm Nick Eatman. Thursday, January the 11th. Just a few days away from the game we all care about. Cowboys and Packers in the wild card round at AT&T Stadium. You know, I really hate calling it the wild card round. I'm just going to say this. It just bothers me, like when you're like the number 2 seed and you're the division winner and you're not a wild card and you haven't been one, and then it's the wild card round. I wish they would call it something different. I don't know what. It just seems like it's the first round of the playoffs, but it's just wild card round. It's like, yeah, but they're not a wild card. But anyways, I don't know why that's always kind of bothered me a little bit, but doesn't matter. This is the one that matters. Is this game coming up, Cowboys and Packers. We'll talk a little bit about it. I know the calls the last few days have been, you can tell there's that excitement, that anxiousness, if you will, about the game, but and also about what this could mean, just how exciting it is, because the Cowboys have a lot of things in front of them. But it seems like every time there's a call or two about that, there's another one that stops and says, whoa, hold up. You know, don't look past this one. And no one's really looking past this one. I think everyone's just so excited for it to get here and see what happens. All right, 888-855-2297 is the number to call. You can text us. 817, you can text us. 817, there it is, 290-3298. I got to get that one memorized. Let's get to the phone lines. Let's start it off. Tyrone's in Georgia. What's up?
Hey, Nick. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Super excited. And I keep hearing this, that everything feels different this year, and I feel it myself. I'm not near as anxious as I am excited. So it's a better feeling going into the playoffs.
Yep. It is a different feeling, you know. It is different. Every year's different in its own way, you know. But yeah, this one does feel a little bit different. It won't matter if they don't play well and they lose, then it won't matter what the feeling is. But as it stands right now, it does feel a little bit different.
All right, I've got a question and then a comment. The question is more NFL related. Overall, it seems like I was looking for the playoff schedule, the Saturday night with the Chiefs and Dolphins, and I couldn't find it on regular broadcast TV, and I looked, and it's streaming only. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, Peacock. Yeah, I believe. You got to get Peacock, the NBC streaming service, I guess. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just old school. It just seems strange to me that you have to go that route. But anyway, the comment I have is the fact that up until this year, it seems like if a big name player went out, everybody just freaked out, lost confidence. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And there was a whole letdown. But this year feels a lot different. It feels like everybody just pulls together, next man up, what you've always heard. But it wasn't always so with the Cowboys. What's your thought on that? What's changed?
Well, thank you for the call, Tyrone. I think what's changed, I mean, listen, if you have tough injuries, it's going to be hard to overcome. Every team has to deal with it, and it depends on who you have and who you have behind them. I think, and I've said this before. I remember it being at training camp, and someone told me, one of the scouts said, our best cornerback is Deron Bland. I mean, Diggs is great. Gilmore's really, really good too. But the best one we have is Deron Bland. And as surprising as that was, I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's one opinion, but that's interesting. And then as it turns out, they needed to lean on that. And so that's probably one thing, is that you had a guy like Deron Bland that's ready to take over, and there wasn't much of a drop off. And then Leighton Vander Esch, there was a drop off there, but they were able to kind of piece it together. So they've and then knock on wood, they haven't had a lot of other injuries like that on offense. Offensive line in Arizona, that was a problem. But they were able to pick it up against Washington and not be the case. So I just think it's a case of having good backups, good coaching, and everyone kind of buying into the system. But they've had some key injuries, but they've also been rather fortunate too as well. All right, Gary in New Mexico, next caller.
Hey Nick, how you doing?
Good, Gary. How are you?
I'm good. I got some playoff trivia for you this morning.
All right.
The Cowboys have had 6 quarterbacks in their history that have won a playoff game on the road.
On the road, okay.
But of those six quarterbacks, how many have won more than one playoff game on the road?
All right. So we've got Dak and White, Danny White, and Berline, and Aikman, and Staubach, and I'm missing one. Maybe Craig Morton. Craig Morton.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, how many have won more than one?
Only one.
It's not. It wouldn't be Aikman, and it wouldn't be Berline, and it would. I don't think it's Danny White either. Is it Craig Morton?
It's got to be easy. No. The only one quarterback in Cowboy history has won more than one road playoff game. This is a slam dunk.
Staubach.
Yeah. It's got to be. It's Roger Staubach.
Yeah,
And here's the cool thing about that, because Roger Staubach's poster that I had hanging on my wall when I was 7 years old is still hanging on my office wall today. My daughter got it reframed and refurnished for me. I mean, that was my guy, and he's wearing the royal blue jersey. You know, the old royal blue.
The blue.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, it's just sweet. Anyway, so Roger Staubach was 5-1 on the road in the playoffs.
Nice.
He only lost one game on the road in the playoffs, and that included 2 NFC Championship wins. But anyway.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show you how hard it is to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to win on the road in the playoffs, and we don't have to worry.
Yeah, right. I was kind of asking, like, why are you asking this question?
No, because remember I called last week, let the cake bake. Let the cake bake. Well, the cake smells pretty good right about now.
Yeah. All right. It
All
does.
you got to do now is decorate it.
Decorate it. All right. I like it.
Put the frosting on. That's why I think the Cowboys – you wrote a good article about why this season feels a little bit different.
Thank you.
And that Washington game felt a little bit different. They had to overcome some adversity in the first part of that game. They had to overcome losing both of their starting guards.
Right.
And yet they went out there and did not lay down for Dallas. They were playing to win that game.
Exactly.
And Dallas just went out there and they seized it. They took it, and that's why it feels different. But here's my reason they can – do something special this year. Of all the teams in the playoffs, Dallas is the only team with a top 5 offense, a top 5 defense, and a top 5 special teams unit.
Yep.
So they're balanced. Dak Prescott, I think, is playing as well as any quarterback in the league, and I think Mike McCarthy has a lot to do with that. CeeDee Lamb is on a different planet. And this is the question I have for you, because I've been concerned about the running game all year. But when I looked at the stats this week, their running game's not horrible. I mean, their top 3 rushers all average 4 yards a carry or better. Pollard squeaked over 1,000 yards. Their running game is adequate. So my question to you is, do you think their running game is good enough? If Dak and everybody else are doing their thing, do you think their running game is good enough to carry them through to a Super Bowl?
All right. Thanks for the call. No, I don't think their running game is good enough to carry them to the Super Bowl. I don't think so. And I don't know if you do either. But since that's how you worded it, that's how I'm going to answer it. Do I think the running game is adequate enough? Yes. And I think the problems is when it gets to this team can throw the ball all over the yard. Look at the stats. The stats are ridiculous this year, and especially the way here in the second half of the season, the connection that Dak has with CD, Ferguson, Cooks, those guys, it's really turning the corner. You get a game where it's tougher to throw. Buffalo was one of them, of course. Miami, kind of a little bit with the rain and wet ball there a little bit. But then you have to kind of lean on the running game a little bit more. That's where I think it's a little bit of a problem. But when your running game just has to be complementary to a stellar passing game, then yes, I think it's good enough. So when you think about the chance of playing a home game here, got to win. If you do, you get another home game. You got to win. If you do, then you get a home game or you go to San Francisco. And I think from a weather standpoint, you should be fine there to do what you do best. So I think the running game is good enough to complement a passing game that shouldn't be compromised in the playoffs. That's what I think. All right. Gabe in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Hey, Nick.
What's up, Gabe? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
First-time caller?
First-time caller.
Go. Let's do it.
That was great. I'm excited.
Let's go, Rocky Top.
That's right. Go Rocky Top.
I don't know about Go Rocky Top. I like the song, actually. I do. I like that song. So, what's up?
It's a good song. Well, first I just want to say I appreciate you. I think you really exemplify what it means to be a fan of the Cowboys for us.
Thank you.
Steady. Always supporting the team. Always excited, and so I appreciate that. I think a good model for Cowboys fans. Not reactionary.
I have my days. But I mean,
sure.
but that's what. So do y'all. I mean, that's what the fan do. I mean, ultimately we're here. You're not going anywhere. It's just that, you have your moments where you're kind of up and down a little bit, but
right.
So being
and
a
we're
fan
all
is.
human,
right?
But and then I just want to say I really think we're just gonna beat the Packers bad. I think they're gonna be just deflated. They're not gonna have energy by halftime. We're just gonna run them out of AT&T. And I think Dak is the main reason behind that. He's laser focused right now. He's playing his best football.
Mm-hmm.
And a big reason why I think is because he's supported by Mike McCarthy. You can tell just by some of the calls Coach McCarthy is making. We obviously disagree with passing it in some of the situations
right.
that he has, especially late in the game in Detroit. But like we said, it's because he has full faith in what Dak's doing.
That's it.
And then I just had a question about the offensive line.
Okay.
Obviously, we saw Brock Hoffman, T.J. Bass playing really well in Washington. And, I mean, it was against the Washington football team, if you want to call them a football team. But
sure.
It's still a professional NFL football team, and they were trying to win the game. And they played really well. So if we get into a scenario which it's happened in the past, Tyron Smith isn't able to play for whatever reason. I'm not trying to jinx anything.
Right.
Or if Tyler Smith isn't playing up to, the standard we want in a left guard, what are we looking at in terms of what do you think they might do in terms of Brock Hoffman, T.J. Bass? Let's say Tyron Smith goes down. Are they moving Tyler Smith out to left
this
tackle?
year? Are you talking about this year in the playoffs?
Right, this year in the playoffs.
Plans?
Right, if something were to happen in the next couple games.
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. If you say you're not trying to jinx things, but I'm
trying. I'm trying my best.
All right, Gabe, thanks for the call. Appreciate that. First time caller, love it. Dipping into Knoxville, Tennessee. Good question because there are some options there. I mean, you've got Chuma Edoga, who's played at left tackle, hasn't necessarily played great there. They picked up Lyle Collins. He's on the practice squad. We'll see how his development is and how ready he is to play. I think having Bass and Hoffman play like they have, I don't think they want to kick out Tyler Smith this year. They've been trying to go against that. You might have to, you get into a game and maybe that is your best option. But I think if something were to happen earlier in the week, I think they would practice Edoga or Lyle Collins there at tackle if he had to go that route. But it's a good problem to have the options there, knowing that they can count on Bass and count on Hoffman as well. So we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get to that. Tyron Smith, has been playing pretty well. He's been playing really good when he's healthy, and he's been relatively healthy. So that's a good sign. to have him playing like he's played. All right, Vince in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Hey, Nick, what's going on?
How are you?
Good. So it was great yesterday when you had a good show there, about talking about the superstitious.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering on you go for walks and all this stuff here.
Yeah.
Do you ever have something to eat during the game or a favorite food or?
No. I mean,
too nervous, huh?
It used to be for some reason at home games. I don't know why, just because it was there in the fountain machine, I guess. But I would drink Mountain Dews all the time on game day. Only on game day. I don't really drink Mountain Dew unless I'm writing a book. If I'm writing a book and I have to stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning, I'll go Mountain Dew and crush it. But that's really it, though, and I don't really do that. I chomp on ice a little bit, and the people next to me, they're in the games and home games. It's always been Derek and Todd Archer from ESPN, and they're always kind of like, "You good on the ice?" I don't realize. Maybe it's a nervous thing, but that's it. That's really it. I don't really.
I think that is too, because when I was younger, I would scream at the TV.
Yeah.
But now since I'm older, I just calm down. It's like, hey, me just yelling all here is not going to do anything, but the players are going to play like they're going to play. My favorite player is Cornell Green. Back in the day, the Cowboys used to get not some draft choices, but they would check out the basketball players.
Right.
Different types of way to get the athletes in. I thought that was kind of cool. Do you remember the last player that the Cowboys maybe picked up that was really not a full football player?
Rico
I was
Gathers?
just trying to think. Rico? What did he play?
Well, he played at Baylor. He was a basketball player at Baylor, and he led the nation in rebounding. And he played tight end. He didn't play a whole lot, but he was. And that was 4 or 5 years ago. He played some at tight end. That was more of a Gil Brandt, Tex Schramm, Tom Landry type thing back in the 80s. Yeah, and because you had 27 draft picks to do that with, and so some of them hit, like Bob Hayes, outstanding. Cornell Green, those they drafted Pat Riley, I believe, right? From the coach. They drafted Carl Lewis, the sprinter. Sometimes it works out, sometimes you're just throwing. That I think is when the NFL realized, okay, they have too many draft picks. If they're doing that, let's don't waste it. I think it's a good number right now. 7 rounds is a good number for the draft. And then after that, the guys don't get drafted, then they can kind of go, in free agency where they want to go, what's a good spot for them. So I think it's pretty good now.
So here we go.
First time caller, Vince?
No. This I called a few times, but
well, then you get the Jimmy call then.
Excuse me?
Then you get the Jimmy call.
How about them Cowboys?
There we go.
There you go. I love that.
All right.
So this is my prediction,
okay.
And I'm not superstitious, so I think the Cowboys. Oh no, I know the Cowboys are going to win this weekend.
Oh.
Yes, I know. So.
What do they say on the other shows?
Don't freak out, guys. Just buckle up your pants here and let's just do this. I think the Cowboys are going to. No, like I said, I know they're going to win, and they're going to win big. I think. I'm pretty sure.
All right.
And I just think that way. I used to be a little superstitious here and there, but I threw that out the window with the bathwater, but not with the baby. But I think I know they're going to win this weekend.
All right.
So all you Cowboy fans out there, don't go hate on me, but we're going to do it. And come Sunday night, Monday morning, the grass is going to be greener, flowers are going to be there.
It might be white.
It's going to taste really good.
It might be white on Monday morning, honestly.
Over here in Albuquerque.
Probably not.
It's going to be cold.
All right. So, thanks, Vince, for the call.
Not a problem. Thank you.
I love how he corrected himself like 4 times. I really think. I know. I think I know. So he's got to correct himself a little bit. He knows the Cowboys are going to win. I don't think you're wrong with that assessment. I really don't. I think that Cowboy fans feel the same way. And the game is not played on paper. It's not. We know this. We know they have to execute, but they've executed all year long. They've played really, really good at home. And that's why you play 17 games. It's not a small sample size. It's a long season where the best teams are there, and they're slotted accordingly. It's so much better than obviously college football, where it's like you have to have style points. People have to say, well, I think they're better than them. It doesn't matter. Power rankings and all that crap. We do it. We see it. Power rankings, they don't matter. They don't matter. You're just slotted in. You play who you're supposed to play. All right, let's go to Rich in New Jersey.
Hey, Nick, first-time caller.
All right.
Yeah. I've been watching the Cowboys since I was 10 years old. It goes back to 1969. And the one thing about watching all those teams all those years is the coach. And, when Landry stepped on the field, I felt confident. When Parcells stepped on the field, I felt confident. When Jimmy stepped on the field, I felt confident.
Yeah.
I don't know how confident I feel. I like the coach. He's proven himself 12-5, 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I guess I get a little nervous. But I will say this. This team has been very consistent all year long, and they learned to get through some adversity.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners lost 3 in a row. Eagles lost more. Cowboys didn't do that this year. They find a way, and they keep plugging away. This will be the year.
I'm with you. I mean, I think so. I mean, those are the examples when you say, why does it feel different? You're right. It's those things like that. Yeah, they hit a rough patch there in Miami, Buffalo, but it was one of those things where, I mean, we expected that. We expected it was going to be tough. They had a chance to win one of those games for sure. So, but
absolutely.
Here, yeah. So,
you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose a game, here or there. Nobody's gonna be perfect. So,
well, let's see if
they seem to climb back.
Let's see if they've lost their last one. I mean, that's what everyone's hoping for. So,
right.
All right, Rich, first time caller. Can we get it? There we go. There we go. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to a text line question. This is Mike from Denver, Colorado. He goes, I realize you have not been part of a conference championship or a Super Bowl. When it happens, will you cry? How do you think you will react overall? Lastly, the Packers are good. Do you think they might be a little overrated? Well, let me start with that part. There is no overrated. Like, that's kind of what I just said. There's no underrated. There's no overrated. That is what's the best part about pro football is. There's no ratings. They're 9-8. They're the 7th seed. That's the way the formula goes. That's where they are. Doesn't matter about anyone's opinion about them because they're in the playoffs and they've earned the right to do that. So no, I don't think they're overrated, underrated. I don't think anyone in the league is. I mean, that's not the way it is. Now, individual players, MVP, Pro Bowl, stuff like that, yeah, you can throw that out there if you want, but not from a team standpoint. You are what you are, and I mean that's what it is. They won 3 straight games to get here. They, the way they barely beat the Panthers, barely, they struggled with the Bears a little bit, but that's, division game. You kind of expect that. Last game of the season like that, and then they beat Minnesota. Went on the road and beat Minnesota. So I think that they're playing good football. They've also beaten Kansas City on the road. So I don't think they're going to come in here and be, in awe of anything. So it's going to be a tough matchup. They're going to bring everything they have. Is it good enough to beat the Cowboys? We'll see. But no, I don't think they're underrated, overrated, any of that stuff. If the Cowboys get there, will I cry? I don't know. Sorry. I don't know. Well, I know one thing that I'll do is, and usually he's right next to me anyways, but at the end of the game, who knows how it all shakes out. But I'll find Derek. And we'll talk about it or something. I don't know. He's been here with me for, this is our 25th season of being to playoff games and all that stuff. And I know there's been some people that are like, I just hope they get to go to the ship. And we haven't seen it. We haven't been able to do it. So I don't know what the reaction will be, but I know it'll be a cool moment, and it'll be one that I'll make sure and find Derek, and we'll have a moment, whatever that is. I don't know. All right, let's go to Justin in California.
Hey, Nick, good talking to you again. But,
all right.
So, this whole Dan Quinn thing, that just popped up, like Pete Carroll left the Seahawks, and, now they're saying, oh, Dan Quinn, this is a perfect match for him. And then you have Cowboys fans saying, hey, we better do everything we can to make him head coach. Some of the fans on Facebook and Reddit, and I'm just not understanding why we're so quick to kick McCarthy out and put Quinn in when we have seen Quinn as a head coach. And so, he made it to a Super Bowl. He blew it, and that was with Kyle Shanahan, and they didn't win the game.
Yeah.
And for consecutive seasons after that, as the head coach, Kyle Shanahan leaves, Dan Quinn was still head coach, and he progressively got worse. Maybe he's just not a good head coach, and maybe he's just a very brilliant defensive coordinator, and maybe we should just keep him, do everything we can to keep him around. I don't understand the whole fascination with trying to make him a head coach when we have a perfectly good head coach right now. He's proven it. Whether he doesn't win in the playoffs or not, it's not always completely his fault. Like, you can't just place the blame on this man. And I think if he makes it to at least the NFC Championship, there's no way in hell that he's going to get fired. It would be the stupidest decision ever. So that was my main point. And then, just the prediction that I have, I don't feel it's going to be a blowout by the Cowboys. I think it's going to be a tight game, and I think as long as we can keep Aaron Jones and I think A.J. Dillon under wraps, because we all know that's still a problem for us. If we keep that under wraps, I think we pull away with this win, and I think it's going to come down to Micah Parsons or D-Law making a big play at the end, just like they kind of did at the Chargers game. And I'll hang up and listen to your feedback.
Thanks, Justin. I'll address the first part you said. I mean, yes, Dan Quinn is got some opportunities. I mean, he's got a lot of people, a lot of teams I think that are interested in him, and then Seattle. Obviously, that one seems to make sense, especially with Pete Carroll still being there. Like he was under Pete Carroll there. When they won the Super Bowl and went back to the next year. And then I think Pete Carroll will still be an advisor and all that. So that seems like a good situation for Dan Quinn. He obviously he's had some opportunities, and it hasn't. I'm not gonna say worked out. It just the Cowboys kept him one way or another, paid him a lot more, and it just wasn't what he wanted to do at that time. Pursue those opportunities. Seattle could be different, and so. We'll see how it all shakes out. And also when that happens, if it's during the season still and the Cowboys are still going, there's different ways to handle it. He's made it pretty clear, though, that he did some of this prep work, interview stuff, all of these things. He does that in the off season as far as getting his interview process in place and all that. So it's not something he's having to do right now. He's already kind of done that. So when he does interview, and if it's even during the season, it shouldn't take a lot of his time and focus and preparation away. If there's one guy that I think could handle this, it would be Dan Quinn, very professional-like. And so, it's not so much him, it's maybe some of the people that he might take with him and how all that's handled. So, but it is what it is now. As for McCarthy, I mean that seems ridiculous to me. I mean, guys won 12 games 3 years in a row. No coach has ever done that in Cowboys history, and that's kind of what I say. If you want to make a change, if somebody wants to make a change, it better start there. Better start with someone that's done that. Give me somebody that has that kind of success. And he's won a Super Bowl and all that. So I think that's kind of ridiculous. I don't know if you really want to start over there when you're building something really, really strong here. All right, Josh in Utah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Josh.
First-time caller.
All right. Go, Josh.
Quick question. So when they're like on the Lions game, right, and it's big offense got the ball, our defense is struggling, at what point do you just kind of say, let them score, because they still have 2 minutes left, and they pretty much drove the whole clock out? Why not just let them score, get our offense the ball back, and then let us drive Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it.
Let us finish with the ball in our hands.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying there, but at that point they've scored 13 points, and you've already had a goal line stand on them. So why do they have to score a touchdown? I mean, they don't have to score a touchdown. I mean, you can stop them in 4 downs and win the game. You know they have to score a touchdown. So I don't know about letting them score when you're up by 7. They've only scored 1 touchdown today. I mean, I think the focus is get Micah Parsons after their ass and try to stop them. It didn't happen, but force it on them. Think about it. Think about letting them score, and then they go for 2 on you because he clearly was going to go for 2, and then they got the lead, and then you go down and you don't get in field goal range and you lose because you let them score and you lost the game. I mean, I don't know about that. There are times where you do let them score, like maybe when the game is tied, and then you're like, all right, we know they're going to kick a field goal, score a touchdown, so might as well just do that. But I don't think when you're up by 7. I think a defensive mentality is we're going to stop them.
Right. But there's been a few games this year where there's 3 or 4 minutes left, and we weren't stopping them.
No,
I was just curious. Do they ever actually just let them score just so they can get the ball back?
There's times for it, but teams are smart too. Like in Miami, they weren't going to let them score. I mean, Miami wasn't going to score a touchdown. You could have let them. The game was tied. No, Cowboys were up by 1, and they were just trying to get into a field goal. You could have theoretically let them score, but I don't think they were going to do that. They weren't going to score a touchdown. So sometimes teams know that, and they're like, all right, we're going to just we don't have. You can't just pick me up and throw me into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, so it kind of goes both ways.
Sweet.
All right.
Hope that answers my question. Thank you, sir.
All right, Josh. Thank you
for your book, man. Your book's awesome.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, Josh in Utah. All right, let's keep it going. We got another Josh. Josh in Groesbeck, Texas.
Yes, sir. How you doing today, bud?
All right. What's going on? What are you doing?
Oh, hell, man, I'm throwing this gravel.
Just throwing the gravel around.
Yeah, that's what I do, man. I've been talking with some friends and all that good stuff, and it's amazing how people just bypass the Cowboys on their success this year and in seasons past.
Yeah.
You think that's because of they come up short in the playoffs in the last 20 years?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this team gets judged by the successes and failures of other teams. It's an easy number to put that on there. Nobody does that with the Lions. I'm looking at the TV that screen that has the Lions. I mean, who've never won the Super Bowl, but I mean, no one does it with all these other teams. But with the Cowboys, and it's funny because that's the standard they have. They obviously have that standard for the Cowboys, so it's just an easy target to. Target on Jerry Jones to say, oh, they haven't won in 28 years, haven't won the Super Bowl 20, because that's the expectations that everybody has for the Cowboys. Right. So, yes.
Well, I know everybody's talking about Dan Quinn might be going over here, over there, and I don't want Mike McCarthy to go nowhere, regardless of this season. I think the man has got on to something. I see him making a Super Bowl in the next year or two, if not this year.
Right.
And for far as my prediction on tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Sunday, I see it 35-10 Cowboys.
Okay.
I see we're going there and putting a spanking down, man.
Where do you watch the game? You watch it with your buddies?
No, I watch it at the house because I get loud, man. I talk more crap than the Japanese radio.
Okay. All right. Well. I bet you it's fun. I bet it's fun to watch the game. So.
Yeah, I get into it, man. My boy, I remember one time when my oldest boy was 4 years old, and I said a certain word whenever they was messing up, and he went around repeating it.
Oh, of course, yeah. They don't. You could say mayonnaise, and they would never repeat that. But if you say something else. Oh, yeah, they know. They have that radar. They just know. I don't know what it is. Those kids know when a bad word comes in.
Oh, yeah, they're like a little sponge. They just suck it right up, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they're excited right along with you this weekend.
Yes, sir. But I appreciate it. I enjoy your call. Enjoy your show and all that stuff. And
okay.
Heck, it didn't take me much to get in this time. 2 calls and I was in.
Uh-oh, that's not good. It's not a good sign. Maybe we're losing callers. I don't know. All right.
No, I just said a prayer before I hit the button, man.
There you go. There you go. Thanks, Josh. Yeah.
Thank you, bud. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know if this is prayer worthy of getting into the storyline, but I definitely appreciate it. All right, Luis is on text message. Luis, he's from Sunland Park, New Mexico. Love the show. This text is from the superstitious deal. I'm very superstitious when it comes to Cowboys games every week. I do believe Jimmy Johnson's curse has been lifted after all these years. It'll be proven when the Niners lose and the Cowboys hosting the championship game. I normally wouldn't put this out there, but I strongly believe the curse has been lifted. All right, Luis. Maybe. I mean, I think it's one of those things where let's let it play out. If all that happens, and I mean, because you have, let's be honest now, since that's happened, there's been some favorable things that have helped the Cowboys. We know that. We see it. And yeah, if somebody like the Rams knocks off the Lions, and you play the Bucs or the Eagles, and then the Rams beat the Niners, and you host the Rams and beat them, you got to beat them, and you go to the Super Bowl, then yeah, maybe the curse has been lifted. Or you just go to San Francisco and you win. I mean, maybe. But again, not trying to get ahead of ourselves, but I'm not believing in the curse has been lifted until I see a bunch of things that are different than I haven't seen before. So I've seen home playoff games. I've seen them have high seeds like this. Haven't seen the championship game though, and I definitely haven't seen the Super Bowl from the Cowboys' perspective. I've seen one at AT&T Stadium with the Packers, but haven't seen obviously anything better than the divisional round. All right, Anthony in Miami.
What's up, Nick the Quick?
What's up, Anthony? How are you doing?
Man, you know how it is. I'm doing well. I called the show the other day, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just in a different tone right now.
Right.
I called the show the other day, but you left, man. I called hanging, right? Because I hadn't called him in a couple of weeks. But I was 2 calls after you left. So I asked Shannon and them where you was, and they said you went on and left. And they'll tell you about my call. It was about happy. The theme was happy. I said I'm happy about everything and everybody. Mm-hmm. Happy, 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 happy. That's just how I sounded. The reason I'm happy is because let's do another movie thing. You know how we did the radio? I shared the radio scene with you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to share one from one of my favorite movies, Roadhouse. And Patrick Swayze says, he said, I want you to be nice until it's time not to be nice. And I asked, when is that? And he said, I'll tell you. So I'm telling the Cowboys it's time to not be nice. No handshakes, no jersey swaps.
All right.
It's time not to be nice. You understand what I'm saying? It's time not to be nice. And this is what the Cowboys are going to do. Because, you know, I'm the Prince of Positivity. I dubbed myself that. We're going to win at least by 13, be a little rough early. We're going to pull away 13 this week. And I'm saying this is my take. We're going to beat the brakes off whoever's next. And then we're going to take that theory of nice to it's time not to be nice. If there are any bullies that are left in the NFC Championship game, then we're going to smack them in the mouth.
Be the bully. I mean, how about that?
We're going to be the bully. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We're going to smack them in the mouth.
All right.
So let me give you something on football players real quick. Okay, Roger, I heard somebody say Roger. I never talked about my favorite players. My favorite player ever is Emmitt Smith. The reason I started and the first Cowboys I liked was Tony Dorsett, my first jersey, and Roger Staubach, Captain America. 2 Cowboys that I have so much like for is the ones that came right around the Jimmy regime that stayed with the Tom Landry regime, and that was Jim Jeffcoat and Bill Bates. And the reason why, 2 longtime veterans, I guess they were fan favorites.
Yeah.
15-year veterans, I believe, or something like that. And those were 2 of the ones Michael Irvin said, these are good guys who can keep them. They work hard. So I'm just happy that with that, you know, they was able to get their rings and stay, unlike some of the others, you know, Randy and them who bowed out gracefully and said, I can't do it anymore, and the ones who got cut or whatever. But those 2, I just, you know, I like guys like that who just stayed with it and won those Super Bowls, you know. Yep. So that's what's happening, and that's what we're going to do.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Anthony. You know, I'd throw 2 more guys in there on that list because Jimmy had kind of said, you know, there were some guys They weren't that good of players, back in the mid 80s, late 80s, but they suddenly got really good when you put a lot of other pieces around them. And Nate Newton is probably one where I'm not saying he wasn't good. I mean, I love Nate, but I'm saying Nate, Nate was able to become Pro Bowler. One of the best players, one of the best guards in the NFL. And he was here in that early regime. Mark Tuinei is another one like that, where Tuinei was sometimes starting, sometimes not, and then they were both part of that great line in Dallas, and so you have to have some really good coaching, really good players around them. Bates and like you said, Jeffco, those are two more. A couple other holdovers, maybe, the Robert Williams types, and I'm trying to think, it's just maybe Ken Norton Jr. He was drafted in '88 there with Michael Irvin and Landry's last draft. But yeah, it helps to have great players around him for sure. All right, let's go to Scott in New Jersey.
Hey, Nick, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Scott. What's going on?
A few things.
Okay.
I just want to say, first-time caller, but huge fan. I've been following you and the whole crew since you started Dallas Radio, before even Cowboys.
Nice.
Am I losing it, or did you used to write articles not only for DallasCowboys.com but like ESPN kind of one-offs? Am I losing it 20 years ago?
Not ESPN.
Okay.
I did not write it for ESPN.
No. Like they published some of yours and Rob Phillips' articles. But anyways.
Maybe they did. We didn't know about it. I don't think so. I don't know. Not them, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, I've been
following you and all your articles for such a long time, my friend.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. We got to get a first time. You got to get a. Here we go. Well, Chris must be on the phone.
No worries.
He'll get you. There it is.
Awesome. So, got two brief questions. I'll try to get through them as quick as possible so you can knock out as many callers.
Thanks.
My favorite football movie was Necessary Roughness. I don't think anybody's talked about that.
Not really. Not on the air, but we sort of did. Yeah, Necessary Roughness. Armadillos.
Yes. Sinbad, everything. Love that movie.
Yeah.
Random football player, and I don't know whatever happened to his career, and he fizzled out. And just reminds me because he was 88, was Antonio Bryant.
Antonio Bryant. Boy, he was something. So
yeah, he was something, all right.
Yeah.
So two quick questions, and then I'll hop off and listen to you. So do you think the size of the linebackers with Dallas, just they're a little light in size? I know LVE is out. I haven't seen the ETA if he's coming back by any chance, but do you think the size of the linebackers may play a factor both in wild card against Packers, or let's say they move on and if maybe Rams could pull up an upset or anything? Do you think the size of the linebackers are going to be an impact or hindrance to Dallas? And I know I heard other callers today talk about just the passing game, and we're not giving enough props. Like, I know the running game's a little slow this year, but and sporadic, but the passing game's been pretty darn consistent all year long. But there has been a couple, what would you say, gaps or games where it looks like that the passing game stalled, and then the offense kind of, I don't want to say sputtered. So what's your thoughts? I'll hang up and listen.
All right. Thank you for the call. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think this is definitely a passing team. It's a passing team. That's where the playmakers are. That's where the Cowboys really move the ball. But you got to be able to run it too. You got to be able to have complementary games. And I think the games where the passing game has been a little compromised and they have to lean on running game a little bit more, that's where they've struggled. They've struggled a little bit more there. You said Antonio Bryant. Of course, everyone kind of remembers the Antonio Bryant Parcells story that everyone knows or has heard of is when he threw the jersey in his face in the middle of practice. I don't think he was here that much long after that. They traded him to Cleveland. He got upset and frustrated in practice and took off his jersey and threw it in Parcells' face. The story that I remember was when he walked in. There was a story that he walked in one day and he had this lime green shirt on, and Parcells used to sit at the door and watch the players come in, and he'd have a little something for all of them, just one little quip here and there. And apparently one day Antonio was walking in, probably just doing his own thing. He was a little different guy, and he said, Antonio, he would never call him AB. It's like, Antonio, I love that shirt. It's this bright neon green highlighter looking shirt. He's like, I love this shirt. Can I get one? And he's like, no, coach, you can't get a shirt like this. No, Antonio, I want this. No, you can't get this shirt. Hey, you can't wear this. No, why not? I love this shirt. It's great. Like, no, coach. It went on for a little bit, and finally he's like, why can't I get the shirt? He's like, because they don't make 6X, coach. They don't make a 6XL. You can't wear this. And everyone laughed except for Bill, and I don't know how long where that was with the whole throwing the jersey in his face, but clearly they had a little different relationship there. Anyways, just thought I'd throw that story out there. All right. We have any more callers? We do. One more. Alan in Long Island.
Hey, Nick. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. You ready, Alan? You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I'm actually sitting in my car, and I was going to leave, and I was like, let me talk to Nick real quick.
Oh, okay. And, appreciate it. We'll call Nick and call the show real quick.
Yeah, so I was talking to Chris about it. When we drafted Micah Parsons, we drafted him as a linebacker, correct?
Right.
I believe he still had 12 sacks his rookie year. I think at least 12 sacks his rookie year. But just if you can correct me, like what percentage did he play his rookie year as a linebacker? What's that?
He had like 13. He had 13 sacks his first year, 13 and a half second year, and then this year I think he got to 14. So he's getting a little bit better every time. But he didn't he played, I would say, was about 60% pass rush. I mean, it was back and forth a lot. It wasn't all the time because it was a situation going into the offseason of, what should they do? What should they do there? It wasn't just 60-40. It wasn't just full-time pass rusher.
Right, and then obviously his sophomore year and his junior year, he became more of a pass rusher, correct? Like he wasn't as much of a linebacker.
We're talking about the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, Mike. I'm talking about Mike.
I'm sorry.
Junior year.
When they're done with college, I don't say that anymore. Freshman. So you're talking about second, third year? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think he's rushed the passer more every time, every year. He's had more rushes. Okay.
But my question is, because obviously we're going to have to pay Micah. I'm sure his agent and him are going to say, well, you may have drafted him as a linebacker, but we want him to get paid as a defensive end because they get paid more money than linebackers, correct?
Yes.
So my question is, since it seems like with Marquise Bell, an undersized linebacker / safety hybrid, and Damone Clark, did we make a mistake in making him a full-time, I guess, pass rusher instead of having him as that linebacker pass rusher hybrid? Because his rookie year, 12 and a half sacks or whatever, 13 sacks, and then look at him now as a full-time pass rusher, and it's only really been a sack and a half difference.
I disagree with you. I really disagree on that.
I'm just asking. I'm just thinking. I was just thinking of a question. I was like, let me ask Nick this. What he thinks. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have done it. I'm just wondering, did we make the mistake?
Okay. Well, I appreciate the call here. We got one more call we got to get to. Thanks for the call, but I'm going to answer this question. I disagree because, and I've always said this, I don't like that saying, close only counts with horseshoes and hand grenades. I hate that. I always say, and I've said this for years, and pass rush. Because close can matter. Yeah, you didn't get the sack, but the guy you were screaming off the edge, the quarterback's peeing his pants, he just throws it real quick, on 3rd and 12 into the ground, and they have to punt. You did something. The sacks might be different. I guarantee the attention is different. The pressures are way up. He leads the league in pressures. He gets after the quarterback. He gets after it. He makes a difference. And everyone knows that he's making a difference. Just answer this question. Wherever you think about making a mistake, the Packers are driving down. They're down by 4. They need a touchdown. They're on the 22-yard line, and it's 4th and 9. Where do you want Micah? You want him at linebacker and make sure that he can cover the tight end, or do you want him on that edge going right after Jordan Love? You answer that question, and then you probably answer your own question of where you want him and have they made a mistake. Because I really think he needs to get rushed. He needs to be rushing the quarterback. Real quick, Eric in North Carolina, last call.
Hey, Nick.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope you are. How about them Cowboys?
There we go. First caller? First time?
No. Actually, third time. But I never got the. DAC.
You never got it. Well, we'll give it to you. There we go. You got it, Eric.
I appreciate you and Chris. So I'm really excited about the Ring of Honor and Jimmy getting in, and it was really fun to see Darren Woodson and Charles Haley kind of nodding when Jimmy was saying that he was kind of a jerk at times.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. But let's just say that we do great in the playoffs, and Jerry is in a great mood, and he comes to you and he says, Nick, I'm going to put in 3 players into the Ring of Honor, one from the 70s, one from the 80s, and one from the 90s. Who would you put in?
70s, 80s, and 90s. I'll go with I'll go with Harvey Martin in the 70s. I'd go with Everson Walls in the 80s, and in the 90s, if I get just a guy from the 90s, Nate Newton, 100%. Nate Newton. That would be it. That would be my 3 right there.
Excellent choices.
Real quick, who would you put in? I love when you.
I was thinking Harvey Martin, and I was thinking Everson Walls too. But just to go with someone different, I would say Ed Too Tall Jones, because he was always terrific.
Yeah.
And then from the 80s, I would say Tony Hill. And from the 90s, I would say Jay Novacek.
Jay Novacek. Okay. All right. All good choices for sure. Yeah, but I like, I mean, you can make a case for Dion too, honestly, because, I mean, we're putting guys in. Charles Haley didn't play. I mean, he played 5 years, I think, and Jimmy coached here 5 years. And, I mean, Dion's, arguably the greatest cornerback to ever play. So, I mean, you could make a case for Dion. But for me, Everson Walls, just with what happened with Ron Springs, and just that's the epitome of what a teammate is. That is Ring of Honor. Plus, he was a great player, absolutely great player. The teams weren't great in the 80s. He was. Now, is it a coincidence that I named 2 guys on our shows? Maybe it is. But tell me I'm wrong. I mean, Everson Walls, Nate Newton, both of them have the accolades to be there, and they should be. And Harvey Martin from the 70s. If you went 60s, I'd say Cornell Green as well. All right, great show, guys. Appreciate it. Chris Beam, thank you so much for working in the back. Like you always do, we'll see you tomorrow on Cowboys Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?